They told me to remove my boat, the last piece of my father I had left, and I'll admit, for about a minute, I almost did it, just to keep the peace, just to avoid one more fight over property lines and petty HOA nonsense. But then I decided, if they wanted to play hardball, I could too, and I'd remove something far more valuable to them, their entire precious Marina. See, it all started with one arrogant letter stuffed in my mailbox on a Tuesday morning. An official notice from the HOA, thick paper, heavy seal, like they wanted me to feel the weight of their power before I even opened it. I remember standing on my porch, mug in hand, steam curling up under my nose while sunlight scattered across Green Lake and my dad's old boat. The Wanderer, rested by the dock, bright and clean, polished so well you could see your own stubborn reflection in it. That boat. Man, it wasn't just fiberglass and teak. It was a memory, a lesson, a voice from the past reminding me that wind has a pattern and patience is a choice, that sometimes you just have to listen to silence. Ever since my father passed, the lake was where I still heard him. Each ripple, every creak of the dock. That was him, telling me to pay attention, to stand my ground. Green Lake was peaceful, almost dreamlike, until the HOA decided I didn't belong in their little picture-perfect kingdom anymore. The letter, get this, claimed my boat violated their community aesthetic standards. I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my coffee. My boat. Spotless, every line tied proper, hull shining. Sails folded neat. But just 3 docks down, I could see a pontoon swallowed by weeds, another neighbor's speedboat patched with duct tape and regret. Nobody bothered them. This wasn't about beauty. It was about control, about picking one person and making an example. And for whatever reason, that person was me. So, that night, I dragged myself to the monthly HOA meeting. If you've never been to one, just picture bad coffee, the scent of paper and power, a room full of people who call the cops over grass length. Anna Sinclair sat at the head, silver hair perfect, a smile that could cut glass, and next to her was Thomas, her husband, who dabbled in real estate and arrogance. Mr. Anderson, Anna started, voice dripping with forced politeness. Your boat doesn't reflect our community's image. It lowers property values. I asked her, real calm, to show me where in the bylaws it actually said that. She couldn't, of course. Thomas just smirked. Maybe it's time to upgrade or sell. Some folks just don't fit in here. That's when it clicked. This wasn't about the boat. It was about my land. They wanted it, and this was their way in. I didn't sleep much that night. Instead, I sat at my desk, spreading out every map, survey, deed, and receipt I had from the day I bought this place. And wouldn't you know it, there it was. Almost hidden on the county survey, a thin strip of land running from my lot all the way to the marina, the same strip everyone used to get to the docks. According to county records and the original property description, that path belonged to me, not the HOA, not Anna, not the community, me. All those years, they'd been crossing my land without permission, no easement, no right-of-way, nothing. 3 days later, I hired a surveyor, then called up a fencing company and ordered the tallest, meanest cedar panels they sold. If Anna wanted to take something from me, she was about to lose. Something bigger. By sunrise, workers were hammering posts straight down the property line, right through the only path to the marina. 8 o'clock, sharp, Anna's Mercedes screeched to a stop. Outside my drive. She jumped out, heels digging into gravel, fury in her eyes. What do you think you're doing? I handed her the survey, stamped and legal, didn't say a word, just let her face do all the talking as she read it. Her cheeks drained of color. You can't block access to the marina, she said, voice all shaky. Actually, I told her, you've been trespassing for years. You're welcome to apply for an easement after we renegotiate everything. She threatened to call the police. I said go for it. The cop showed up, looked over my documents, nodded. He's within his rights, ma'am. And suddenly, Anna wasn't so loud anymore. A crowd of neighbors watched from across the street, whispering, probably realizing the balance of power had just snapped. By noon, the fence was finished, 6 feet high, cedar planks shining in the sun, a fresh private property sign hanging on the locked gate to the marina. Now here's where it gets fun. Anna had a huge community fundraiser planned that very night. Invitations sent, banners printed, local councilmen on the guest list, and now nobody could get to the docks. Around 5, Anna came back with half the board, suddenly polite, voices all sweet. "Jim, maybe we can come to an agreement." I smiled. "I thought you didn't negotiate with rule breakers." That night, we met in my living room. Board members sweating through their shirts, neighbors peeking in the windows, and I laid it out. All fake violations against me would be withdrawn. The HOA would formally recognize the access path as mine, and any marina use would require my written approval every time. Trapped, humiliated, Anna signed the papers. Next morning, I unlocked the gate myself, made sure the whole neighborhood saw, especially the councilman who was now very interested in how the HOA handled its business. The fundraiser went ahead, sure, but the story spread fast. By the end of the month, Anna and Thomas both resigned, the board got replaced, and suddenly, Green Lake felt like a community again, not a dictatorship. Now, on weekends, the marina's open, but on my terms. Kids from the neighborhood hop aboard. The Wanderer, I show them how to listen to the wind and respect patience, just like my dad did for me. And every time I look at that fence, I remember, the strongest walls aren't always made of wood and nails. Sometimes they're built from knowing your rights and having the guts to defend them. So tell me, what would you have done if they'd tried to take what's yours? Do you think I went too far? Or did justice finally win out? Drop your thoughts below. Let's hear where you stand when the line in the sand is yours to draw that you'd think after that showdown. Life around Green Lake would settle back to its old peaceful self, right? Honestly, for a little while, it did. Neighbors who'd barely nodded at me before suddenly started waving from their decks. Folks dropped off fresh-baked bread. And the Wanderer became a familiar sight again, with kids laughing on the bow and the lake breeze feeling lighter somehow, like the whole place had finally exhaled after holding its breath for years. Even the new HOA board, led by a quiet guy named Marshall who actually listened more than he talked, seemed to go out of their way to avoid more drama, which, after everything, was a nice change of pace. But you know how these stories go. Peace never lasts long when pride and old grudges are involved. About a month later, right when the air started turning crisp and the maples along the shore flashed red, I got a call from Marshall early one Saturday morning. His voice was uneasy, words tumbling out fast. "Jim, you better get down here. Something's happened at the marina." Now, I figured maybe a branch had come down or some kid tossed a bike in the water, but when I got there, through the new fence, right by the locked gate, wood splintered everywhere, private property sign thrown in the water, and muddy boot prints leading off toward the Sinclair place. Neighbors stood around, whispering, nobody quite willing to look me in the eye. For a second, that old feeling, the one where you realize you're standing alone in the middle of your own life, came rushing back. But this time, I didn't back down. Marshall looked at me, said, "We can fix the fence, but you need to know. Anna's been stirring people up, saying you're holding the whole lake hostage, that you're trying to turn Green Lake into your private resort." I almost laughed. Classic Anna, flipping the story so she's the victim, but Marshall was dead serious. "Some folks are talking about getting the county involved, maybe even a lawsuit." I took a slow walk down to the dock, that old ache in my chest coming back, and just stood there, watching the water move under the morning sun. You ever have that moment where you wonder if it's worth it? All the standing your ground, all the fights that just wear you down over time? That was me, right then, staring at my dad's old boat, feeling the weight of all those years stacked up in my bones. And that's when I heard footsteps, soft, hesitant. I turned and saw Lily, a teenager from down the road, the one who always brought her dog by to chase geese off my lawn. She looked nervous but determined, holding something behind her back. "Mr. Anderson," she said, I saw who did it last night. It wasn't Anna, it was her nephew, Kyle. He and his friends, they were bragging about it at the diner this morning. Said they were taking back the marina for everyone. I'm sorry, I just thought you should know." She handed me her phone. There was a grainy video, shaky hands, but clear enough to see Kyle, drunk and loud, kicking at the fence with two buddies egging him on. In that instant, something flipped in me. Not anger, just a weird sense of relief, almost like the truth finally had a face. I thanked Lily, promised her no trouble would come her way, and called Marshall over. We watched the video together, and for the first time, the new board really understood what I'd been up against, not just bad bylaws, but people who'd break the rules just to feel in charge. By the following week, the board called a special meeting. This time, the whole neighborhood showed up, even the councilman, and Lily, brave as ever, stood up and played her video for everyone. There was dead silence. Then a ripple of outrage. Not at me, but at Kyle, at Anna, at the idea that anyone could take what wasn't theirs just because they didn't like who owned it. The vote that night was almost unanimous. New bylaws, new security cameras, and a standing rule that any disputes over property would go through mediation first, not backroom gossip or late-night sabotage. Anna's family put their place up for sale within a month. The fence got repaired, this time with half the neighborhood helping out. And for the first time, I felt like maybe, just maybe, Green Lake really did belong to all of us. And as for me, I still sit out on the dock most mornings, coffee in hand, wind in my face, the wanderer bobbing at the ready. Only now, sometimes Lily's dog joins me, tail wagging, like he owns the place too. Funny how the fences we build, literal or not, only matter if folks on both sides remember what they're for. So tell me, would you have handled that second round the same way or walked away? Let's hear your take. Where do you draw the line when community turns into a battlefield? And hey, share your stories below, especially if you've ever had to fight for something that should have been yours all along. Justice or peace? Which one wins when push finally comes to shove?